welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings Here. There it is. Yeah, the old inmendham. Old, old person. Ooh. Yeah, it really is gross. But, you're going to get your, well, if you don't get yours, it'll be because of, something worse happening. I guess there's worse things than getting old, but yeah, they still all suck. Anyway, all the alternatives are no good. Anyway, so I'm here to explain something so simple, that we as organisms evolved on Earth. Okay, the basic design is make a bug. All kinds of varieties of bug. And yeah, we think we're a little cleaner and neater because, we don't have mites crawling all over us that we can see. They're all kind of microscopic. And we're designed to think we're really cool looking, so we can reproduce and all that kind of crap. Obviously, if we thought we were hideous, then we wouldn't bother. We would engage in our intimate activities with trees or something. So, it's just a consumption mechanism to create copies, and that's what we're caught up in, a little kind of DNA game, being played by the chemistry. And, yes, and we have risen out of that with this glorious thing called, a brain, and the capacity to conceptualize and understand context, and to see the bigger picture, that all the pieces are in. And through all of that, we're still stuck with, it's still just bug. And smart bug isn't a good thing. So the intelligence or the knowledge has to kind of reprogram or change the perspective from something other than just bug behavior. It can't just be used like a hammer by the bug or the ape. Instead it hammers us. It controls the the animal instincts, and it's probably not the best word. We're not very instinctive. Impulses, we still might have the impulse of flight and fight and all that kind of stuff, emotions, and people either learn how to channel that energy constructively, or they don't and make messes and all of that crap. But the end result is that we're stuck with just a very kind of a tragic story of gazillions of sentient brains being in all kinds of terrible ways squished over and over and over again. So I can make this video or somebody else can make a more popular video, that gets millions of views. That has a squirrel in it, or something more appealing, saying something more appealing, whatever, or some entertainment, where somebody sets a trap for somebody or something, and it's all ha 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 ha, look, they fell in the trap, ha 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 ha, that kind of thing. And it's all bug entertainment, I would argue. Also, I mean, the entertainment is pretty lowbrow, like you're missing part of your brain, and but whatever. So it's somehow my chore to say that in some way that's you can't just you can't say it in some appealing way. I mean, you can, I could put on a, Barney the dinosaur suit and fake my way through it. And it's really funny torture. I mean, no, it's bad, but it's, it's funny. Something, and slowly but surely inch you to the understanding that all of this is serious business. And it's just really, really, God, it's so tragic that, we have such a powerful intelligence, and most of it is devoted to, inventing some sort of, Vagia cream or something. Something just you would think would be way beneath the our agenda as organisms, but it's not. And it's part of the ugly truth that even when we're intelligent, we can't use it constructively, because we're too stupid. We're too gullible, too uninterested in the truth. If it doesn't taste good, that's it. And you see it in people, right? I mean, their behavior is a reflection of, stupidity. I smoked cigarettes for 40 years. 50. Vaping for the last, 15. Anyway, and, and other people, it's the food thing, and this, lots of bad habits, lots of stupid behavior that, they'll pay for. And, just, whatever. So anyway, that's, so yeah, it's not a fun channel, I guess. Yeah, there's no, it'd be nice if it was. You could just, aren't people funny? People do the silliest things or something. I guess they used to have TV shows like that, right? Yeah, it's just, that just misses the point. So yeah, this is a funeral, frankly. There's, like I said, there's been so much paid for our existence. There's hundreds of millions of years of feeling capable organisms being brutally and horribly, damaged, if not killed, in some torturously unpleasant manner. And slow, lingering, horrid death. It's almost worse now for humans in some sense, as I've sort of pointed out, because now they don't die once. They do it a few times before they actually get killed. And it's like, oh, such a high price to pay to participate in this farce of a human experience. Yeah. Anyway, so in that project I made this video, and it's just another one of the videos where I try to put this into words while I'm making the video, which, yes, it's probably not the best idea. I should manufacture these arguments in some more deliberate manner so they cook better, and they are more appealing as food for the brain. And but I don't, because I'm no good at it, I guess. Polishing words just seems, well, I mean, I know it's unnecessary. I know I don't need people to polish the words. I'm looking for the, I can see messages in mush. You don't have to spell it out for me and, put it in blinking text. But yeah, the rest of the world isn't me. And that's the real problem, I guess. I could argue that that's one of the flaws of existence is it didn't make more me's and it made too many of you's. So seems obvious. Yeah, that's one of the mistakes nature made. So anyway, leave us do the routine, and I'll I'll try to restate what I already stated better. I think it makes sense to just say it and then say, okay, you know what, I could have said that better by saying this, this, and this, So something like that anyway. Adding more to something is not a bad concept. So it's just a degrade in the level of bug life. Yeah, so I think I was talking about, I don't know, but yeah, it does degrade. But yeah, I think it's something about the system and the whole election thing and everything. It's just so depressing. Mechanical system, it's just a version of it that plays with concepts and ideas. So it's all just reflexes, and it's billions of hundreds of billions of neurons that are basically just playing the role of being a little switch that, and the switches all decide what you're going to do. And so instead of just being on and off, it's on something else and then off. And then it becomes, 4 switches or 10 switches or 50 varieties of behavior or 100 or 100,000. And all of that capacity to act in all those various ways requires a lot of switching. And that's what our brain is doing. And the basic function is to be logical. I mean, we have the brain because it makes us capable of navigating, without falling in quicksand or doing something stupid and dangerous. And so it does work. It can do reasoning and get right answers. Don't step in the quicksand, it can do that. But it doesn't seem to do it, when you get to these more, you hate to even call it complicated questions because they're not really that, they're not that challenging. Is God a good theory? Well, of course it's not good theory. Ugh. I mean, belief without evidence? Yeah, that's really stupid. How do you have systems that produce this? I mean, it's just, okay, so yeah, that was a little rag on the, the terrible political choice, and you're just saying, why, how can it fail this dismally to have anything close to something that almost you could imagine being given power and authority, something, they're so, these candidates are so vain and so obviously self-interested. What's you're just saying, how can that be something that's supposed to be the president? I mean, it's just impossible that those could be our only choices. That in 400 million people, you can't find better people to throw, in the White House than this. Right, not to have to compete with technology. So the Teamsters, yeah, so I talked a little bit about that. The Teamsters, like one of the few unions left, and they're only left because they were bullies, and, are so lost in their self-interest that they're actually saying they're negotiating for a deal where they don't have to compete with technology, where they can do things the inefficient and expensive way for their own benefit as employees, not for society's benefit. So it's just so, well, gee, that's a pretty, there shouldn't be any president who says yes to that. No, they say fuck you to that. It would have been if they ran somebody, even any one of the candidates from, say, 10 or 20 years, would, the margin of victory would be gigantic because, there was just nothing here to vote for. There was only shit to vote against. Say, do you accept that there's, you know, and so this is where another one of the problems, though, is that you can't just say something like that an intelligence created the universe. Alright, so we're sort of talking about what the idea of the video was for me to get back to this argument that, you know, you don't need to write a whole book, you know, or if you're going to write a book, the idea would be to have these statements and then qualify the statements. And so if somebody needs them to be defended, they can just read the defense. And if they don't need that premise or axiom to be argued, then they can just skip, you know. And yeah, because you shouldn't be wasting your time. But you also have to make sure that there's no point in reading further in the book if you can't even imagine your silly God not to exist. If you're incapable of even imagining such a world, well, there's no point, because evidence is going to matter to you and reasoning is going to be lost on, wasted on you. And beyond. Because you know, that's what we're the foundation for, is the and beyond, the future. The future's waiting for us to, you know, yes, you know, it's not gonna be very, it's not gonna have much good to say about the humans of this era in time, just because it seems, you know, obvious that they weren't really interested in doing the future any favors. They were selling the future out, with all of their me first, debt creation, use up all the energy, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Take the place of, and you know, that's the burden, is to preserve, you know, what has to be protected and prevent, you know, yeah, the waste. So waste is the key word, I guess. You could argue that, you know, all of these conversations are just about some kind of argument for efficiency, and the most efficient, the best efficiency, right? There's efficiencies to be gained by fixing this and fixing that, less torture wasted. But the best way to stop wasting torture is to stop making it possible, because you don't really lose anything important to do that. You know, we've told all the stories, we've lived all the silly little adventure-y lives. There's just no reason to remake any of it. We've already made it, and it's not going to be. There's nothing to make out of it, where the ingredients we are, except just some other stupid, silly story, and the stories are too expensive. It's like if movies actually did often, I mean, they often enough kill people, you know, even by accident, but you know, it does happen, and are they worth it? And the point is not anymore, because we already know how they all end. The problem is that you got to take time to engineer arguments, I suppose. So that was what I was supposed to be getting to, is, you know, this idea of just trying to find some methodical way of drilling through all of the psychology and the bullshit that's in the way of the simple, obvious bug truth of what evolution is engineering, and it just engineers kind of insidious, monstrous devices to conquest. You know, the fact is that I think the road they were on, it was catastrophically wrong. And obviously you'd get some notoriety for rescuing them. So I was talking a little bit about the fact that I think I still think to some extent. So I make these physics arguments on another channel. And my reasoning is that this physics thing should be a way of giving me some kind of credibility. because saying this should be easy because I don't have to argue with morons. I can argue with intelligent people, and they really should be vulnerable to reasoning and logic and facts. And no, they're just as fanatic in their misunderstandings as the silly ignorant people. So it just doesn't help, and that surprised me because I figured integrity came with intelligence. I just, that's how it sort of worked for me. It wasn't until I did some hard introspection and thinking that I realized being a selfish cunt wasn't a great idea. Are so wrong, okay, that they can't know right when they hear it. And that, that's my only reasonable conclusion, obviously, because I've gone over it in my head so many times and said, yeah, it's just no, I'm not wrong. So, that's just a fact. I don't make a whole bunch of logic errors. So, yeah, so there's nothing else to conclude. I mean, the subject isn't that complicated, all of any of these subjects, really. And the argument's not getting defeated on the merits. It's getting defeated on just people saying, rejecting, okay, the fact that they have to let go of some hopeful bullshit, that they're cherishing, bathwater. Made sure that the person agrees that you can't make matter disappear, kind of thing. All right, anyway. Can't make matter disappear. Yeah, I don't know what that one was for. So we won't find out, but yes. Well, let's go ahead and find out what the hell is the context for that. Point, becomes less pointy. Yes, if you haven't... Oh, well, yeah, so I was, this is a little bit of a, talking about pointing arguments, and then the point is to point, well, whatever, didn't really work. Citizen, it's conceptually a nice little hunk of words to, so just sort of talking about the fact that now and then you can construct some, like, unintelligent design. That's a kind of a simple signpost for the idea of what you're trying to get across, is that there's lots of waste in something that isn't designed, that it doesn't have a blueprint. You're not going to build a very good car by just sticking steering wheels and I mean, you have to make sure it's things are the same distance and it's squares, and that you're obeying the required symmetrical geometry, and all that kind of stuff. And without those details, it does get ugly, and that's what life is, because it was created by an unintelligent mechanism. My ancestry was a little bit disturbing in the sense that it was, so I was talking a little bit about, how people, some people, groups of people anyway, whatever, I'm really not making any kind of big argument. I'm just saying that it's kind of obvious that some people, you could say that Catholics, or you could say this about anything, and you can make these generalizations. So I was just making the generalization that, Jews generally raise their kids with some sort of guilt and some sort of sense of responsibility, and some sort of, you've got to be carrying the ball for granddad or something, and you've got to, there's a job that needs to get done, and however you want to put it, but they're motivated to, really, maximize their functionality, and so they achieve. And they strive to be things like doctors and lawyers and scientists, and to go for the best. And it's a real project, this idea of raising a kid to be these things. And it's a whole matter of pride and all that kind of stuff, where the traditions of other people don't contain that kind of imperative. And being a kid is about having fun, and it's not, and they might even focus it on sports or something. They might think that is some sort of great heroic thing to be, is some sort of medal winner in some sporting event. And I obviously think that's pretty goddamn stupid, to get your kid invested in that nonsense. So obviously, by comparison too, motivating them to be achievers in the game that really matters, which is this intelligence and what is it that we're doing. The disappointing fact is, though, is that the smart people are really dumb. They're just not smart enough to realize. They're not smart enough to realize how easy it is for humans to be biased and slanted in their perspective by their own desires and ambitions. Something like that. I don't know, it shouldn't have been, but I guess things seemed further away, or too far away, and so for some reason I didn't gravitate to them, but it seems like I should have gravitated to. Yeah, it is kind of weird that I did have so little direction, especially when I was already mechanically inclined. It's like I thought of having a junkyard and building things out of the junk, but I never really thought about a career as a mechanic or a specific kind of technician or something. And it seems like that should have been the sensible direction I would have been thinking. And none of my jobs ended up being, it's not true. I mean, none of the jobs I got into on purpose, were related to that. And the job I fell into accidentally just because of where I was living, where I ended up in a machine shop. It was like, yes, it was the environment I should have always been in, and it was just kind of funny that I didn't get into it until I fell into it backwards. And it really should have been something I was pointed at deliberately. And get somewhere. Accomplish something, not only for yourself, but, just in the idea of doing a job well, kind of thing. Efficiency, maybe. So anyway, but yeah, that's always the motivator. So even when you're stuck in some stupid job, if you're kind of pride focused or something, you're going to try to do the best you can, and you're going to try to excel and do better than anybody else does it, and all that kind of stuff. So you're still going to be motivated to make it a job and devote your time and your energy to improving your performance. Not doing that. It's just that we should all be doing that in constructive ways, not in ways figuring out how to steal somebody else's money or trick them, or and it's like so many people are in professions that are on their face just kind of abusive in the sense that they're just trying to steal people's money, trying to make them, they know they're working for a company that they know doesn't have the best deal, but they're going to convince somebody that, no, yeah, you want to buy our insurance because it's much better, but they know it's not. Odd jobs, shoveling snow, cutting grass, working in restaurant, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, enough of that. The right time at the right place, all that kind of crap. So it's a little bit of inheritance talk, about the fact that that's the one thing I really was hopeful that eventually, it was almost getting there. The Democratic Party were getting the idea they got to change this tax structure, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And my hope was that someday they would have a rational perspective on this whole consolidation of wealth thing, and recognize that it's just not acceptable to have half the entire wealth of the world held by 176 people. That's idiotic. To have those people controlling what gets invested in, what value the rest of humanity gains out of all of those resources. And and the simple solution is to just say, yeah, you can inherit $10 million, but that's it. You have to earn it. I mean, the whole idea of the cheat in this race for life, again, it's humiliating. I mean, frankly, I just don't know how these people could think that this is, how they could be in any way proud that, like the Trump example, where you inherit millions. I mean, one of the richest men in the world, his father, at the time. I mean, he inherited everything, and he lost all of it. And that's the joke, and he's still proud. And thinks he's the winner, and thinks can tell other people to pull up their bootstraps or some other kind of bullshit. It's just so obnoxious. It's such a cheat in life, to have this wealth pillow to fall back on. When you have to play the game from nothing, with nothing. Huge, difference. Even people coming to this country, as much as I despise the fact that they don't really want to integrate, they have huge disadvantages, language, this, that, and, it's just, it should bother people. Cheating in races should bother people. Up the Christians, okay, but to try to create some sort of economic justice where people got paid based on what the work was sucking out of them, how much blood. Get paid on how bad the job is and how much work it takes to be good at it. So obviously surgeons should get paid more. People who have to do a lot of added value, they can't just show up and press 3 buttons or say hello on the phone. It's a little more skilled than that. Demands a little more practice and muscle memory and all of these things. But that's how it should work. You shouldn't just hand it to some kid because he popped out of the right vagina. It's just ridiculous. World thing eventually. And this idea of being brains, yes, that's all. We have this commonness in the sense that we really got to just all become members of the human tribe, and but it's just I can't. You argue this, and you're just saying to yourself, but it's just crazy. It's crazy how things turned out. Because you would think, like I said, the intellectuals were generally speaking the liberals. I mean, yes, they figured out there's no God. We don't need to ban people's sexual behavior. We don't need to interfere in this and that. We don't need to persecute homosexuals. We don't need to do any of this bullshit. To let go of all that crap. And but they didn't figure out any of the rest of the story, which is you still have to punish criminals. It's just so fucking stupid. So it just makes all of this. You have to punish crime, and the only way to punish crime or deter crime is to punish criminals. There's no other way to do it. Much more miserable getting old as the civilization looks like it's degrading and decomposing right before your eyes. It's not like you're drifting off the last years of your life in the sunset, pretty sun. No, it's this swamp and swamp gas, and it's just it's just ugly and stinky. An exit when the world's getting uglier and stinkier, and thing. But I mean, it's just such a disrespect in the sense that it's not appreciating just what it takes to manufacture something like this, and just how Yeah, it is just kind of funny that you know, the people glorifying it don't really respect what it's made out of, and you know, that's the sucky part. I mean, billions of years, millions of years, hundreds of millions of years of brutal work to get to this place in terms of all of the torment and horror that has been experienced, and they're just, you know, I don't even know how to describe the disrespect they're showing for that price. It really doesn't have anything to do with the truth or, you know, making the best of our circumstance. Yeah, that's all we can do. And have to do it honestly, frankly. Again, you know, there's lots of things you can do, you know, to make the world a better place. You can pick up some litter on the sidewalk or something. You know, you can do the simple things, or you can do the, you know, the things with a little bit bigger payoff, which are preventing the mindlessly sloppy, reckless production of human beings, and at least vote against it. At least say, I'm against it, you know. That whether we have even a law against that recklessness, we should at least as a society be able to voice our displeasure with those who perpetrate it. And you know, we don't have to put a tattoo on their forehead saying asshole, but there should be some acknowledgement of the waste this creates. I think that's a video. All right, that's what I'll call it. It's a video. All right. So still working. I'm just, you know, we'll see how it goes. It's a weird time, and you know, I'm just, you know, life is tough, and you have to witness, you have to watch this crap in the world and people, and you know, and even on the local level, it's dismal, and you know, depressing. So yeah, it's just not. Doing the best I can. Yeah, this is what it is for now, and hopefully I'll get more efficient in my function. I have just way too many projects. That's, you know, just trying to do way too many things, way too many distractions, and I keep telling myself I have to do something about that, but it's really hard to do. Yeah, it's hard to cut pieces of yourself off. But anyway, till the next time and such, so forth and whatnot.